Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to 2016 and my first video of 2016, which is all about the Nexus 6P. I've been using this device for about a month now, and I'm convinced to say that this is pretty much one of the best experiences I've had in the entire 2015. I was using a 3-year-old iPhone when I made a switch to the 6P, and first impressions, this thing was massive, mainly because of that spectacular 5.7-inch display with a couple of front-facing speakers. It also felt really heavy because it weighed over 170 grams, but as time progressed, the size and the weight felt just right. Talking about that design, it's pretty much a no-flaw design. The build quality is very flagship-like with all the aluminium stuff going on and those absolutely beautiful and shiny chamfered edges that go all around the phone. Also, just on a side note, the metal on this device sometimes, especially in the mornings, feels really cold. I mean, seriously. And sometimes it also gets really very slippery unless you got sweaty hands. Just saying. The buttons have been placed really well just where my thumb rests. Also, the power button is a ridged one, so it's easy to differentiate between this and the volume buttons, so that's pretty smart. The camera sensor at the back protrudes ever so slightly just to grab someone's attention, but it's totally not a big deal for me. Just beneath that camera sensor is a fingerprint sensor, which is strikingly similar to the one on iPhone in physical appearance, and it also performs like a boss. Well, first of all, it's not the fastest fingerprint sensor that you will use on because it takes almost a full second from the point you put a finger on the sensor to the point you see the home screen. I'll still give it to the iPhone 6s, but there are so many good things going with this fingerprint sensor that I almost neglected the speed. First of all, the position. This thing is located just below the camera sensor at the back, which has got to be one of the best positions to locate a fingerprint sensor for such a big phone. It's the natural resting place for my index finger, so it's ultimate convenience. Other than that, it's also really very accurate. In fact, one of the most accurate fingerprint sensors. There have been almost negligible failures or retries, so I'm really very convinced. Last but not the least is the setup process. This has got to be hands down the fastest and the easiest setup you can get on a smartphone that features a fingerprint sensor. Literally just 6 steps. You can add up to 5 fingerprints in about 30 taps and you're done. Also on the bottom of this device, you'll see a USB Type-C port, just like the wall plug that you get with this device. So it charges via USB Type-C to Type-C cable, but in case you somehow want to connect it to your computer, which most probably does not have a USB Type-C port, Huawei has actually included a Type-A to Type-C cable, which although is very small, but it's still very convenient. And if you come to the front, you've got hands down one of the best displays I've seen in the entire 2015. It's a Quad HD display, of course, so there's a lot of pixels every single inch. It's really crisp. It's got really good viewing angles, so you guys could really watch a movie together. It's also one of those displays which have very accurate saturation and great contrast ratios. The outdoor visibility is decent, just enough to prevent me from putting my hand on top of the screen to get a view of something. The only thing that slightly disappointed me this time with the display, just like with the Nexus 6, was that if you lower down the brightness to the lowest levels, it turns slightly pinkish. But other than that, it's a no-brainer. Now, the display has also been accompanied with one of the best sounding speakers of all time in a smartphone. One of the major reasons why this sounds so good is because of their position. They are front-facing dual speakers and they are ridiculously awesome. They get insanely loud and they don't distort at all. Insane clarity, great bass. If you listen to a song on this one, it will really pump you up to dance on the floor. It's insane. I just cannot stop appreciating them. All in all, one of the best combinations of display and speaker in the entire 2015, and hence it gets my recommendation for the best media consumption device that I can get right now. You have it there. Now, what you actually see on that screen of the Nexus 6P is one of the major reasons why I love this device so much. It's stock Android, and as of now, it's Marshmallow. Marshmallow is one of the most advanced operating systems that I've used till date on any mobile smartphone. First of all, this thing is crazy smooth on the Nexus 6P. I've experienced very few or zero hiccups on the Nexus 6P. No matter how much you multitask, it just won't hang up. There's absolutely no kind of bloatware or any sort of third-party applications pre-installed in the device, so that's the thing that I really appreciate. But Marshmallow has actually got a lot of hidden features inside it. For example, if you pull down the notification panel from the top and press and hold at the settings icon for a couple of seconds, it will spin, and after about 5 to 10 seconds if you leave it, you'll get screen UI controller options, which are really handy. They get you a lot of cool stuff, and you can do the same to remove all those options, but you would never want to. There's also this thing called as Now on Tap that I'm pretty sure you're already aware of. It's one of the most advanced features on any operating system as of now. Basically what it does is that it reads what's on your screen and gives you suggestions and everything it knows about that stuff. So for example, if I have something open up on Amazon and I press that home button for a couple of seconds, I get all the reviews of that product and the company details, the product details. It's pretty handy. It's also really helpful while you're messaging somebody and you want to know something real quick. Press the home button and you have all the information right in front of you right then and there. This can also be really helpful while you're checking out some movies, so you can get some ratings and reviews. All in all, a really helpful feature, but this thing is still in the infancy stage. So it has happened with me a couple of times that I have pressed the home button with a lot of stuff on the screen and it shows nothing on tap. So there's clearly room for improvement, and of course that would happen because to me the future looks overexposed. One of the other really cool features of Android Marshmallow is Doze, which is the reason why this device has got really good standby time. Hear me again, really good standby time, not battery life. And that's kind of a bummer. But talking about that standby time, I remember I slept at 100% one day and I woke up the next morning at about 94%, which is pretty good for an Android phone. But talking about that battery life, okay, I run the device on 6.0.1, which is the latest update that I got from Google, and it's been only once or twice that I've got more than 4 hours of screen on time. Usually it's around 3 hours. So although it was a pretty big battery with a capacity of over 3400 milliamperes, I was easily able to kill it by 8 p.m. That is definitely not the time I sleep at. But the overall experience in this battery aspect of this phone is not that bad because it anywho charges really quickly thanks to the rapid charging technology built into this device, mainly because of that wall plug that charges this thing at 3 amperes of current, so it is definitely really fast. Just to give you guys an estimate, it charges completely from 0 to 100% in about 2.5 hours by max, which is really convenient considering the fact that it's got a massive 3450 milliamperes of battery. Last but not the least at all is one of those features of the Nexus 6P which really made me fall in love with this device, and that is the camera. It's definitely not the best smartphone camera as of now, but it's one of the fastest and one of those cameras that have really encouraged me to shoot more outdoors. The images that I clicked with this 12 megapixel sensor were slightly more saturated, but I really liked them, so I'm not at all disappointed. The contrast ratios were also really good. They were also really very detailed, but once I took them to the computer, they got slightly less crispier and less detailed, which was most likely to happen. But since most of us don't really take our photos to the computer to view them and watch them mostly on the phone, you will have one of the best results thanks to that ridiculous pixel density. It can also shoot 4K videos, although it's got no optical image stabilization. It is fairly stable as well. Once you take the camera to the low light, that's really when things start to get ugly. Until and unless you have the HDR mode switched on, the images that you'll click will turn out to be not so natural. They will be much on a paler side. The contrast ratios will not be that good, but once you switch on the HDR mode, the highlights will instantly blow up and the image will turn out to be much more natural. But still, you won't really be able to get over the grain that you'll get with the low light images that you click with this device, thanks to the camera sensor that automatically increases the ISO rating to get some more light, even though it has an f2.0 of aperture. Oh, and yeah, it doesn't really seem like it increases the shutter speed, because it doesn't seem like so. So there you have it. That's been it. That's my take on the Nexus 6P. I can easily recommend it to literally anyone looking for a new device. This can be a no-brainer. Of course, there's much more room to improve on, and that would certainly happen in 2016. So there you have it. 2016 is going to be much more better. Make sure to share the videos and take care.